Are we live, Kate?
We're live.
Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Joint Transportation Board. Please note, it certainly is, I should repeat that. Good evening and welcome to the meeting of Joint Transportation Board. Please note this meeting is being streamed live to the internet. Please could all members ensure their microphone is set to mute unless they are speaking to reduce any background noise, barking dogs or whatever. Members should use the raised hand button when they wish to speak and will be asked by myself to speak as in order. And so thank you. Right, going straight on to the agenda. We have apologies for absence. Do we have any, Kate?
No apologies this evening, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Declarations of interest. Have you got the terms there on pages 3 and 4? Do we have any declarations of interest? No, okay. Well, if any come up during the meeting that you have a left field, just mention them then, I guess, would be best. We have the minutes, pages 5 to 8. I hope you've had a chance to read and digest. Does anybody want to raise any particular point? I'll go through them. Where are we? Page 5. Anything at all? No, okay, page 6. Anything there? Page 7 and page 8. Okay, are we happy with those? Okay, thank you.
Some of us have got our hands up.
Oh yes, sorry. I saw yourself
as you requested.
as I requested. Thank you, Rory. I'm not quite sure who was first on my screen. Is Dylan?
Yeah, just very briefly, in the minutes, councillors present, everyone else has their first name and surname other than Jeffrey, Mead and Weatherhead, who are simply Jeffrey, Mead and Weatherhead. So just to make sure we are treated with parity, either everyone is just by their surname or by forename and surname for everybody.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. I will get that amended. I've just noticed that myself. Apologies. We appear to have lost the chairman.
Has he resigned already?
I think he may have. I know he was having connection problems earlier, so we'll just give him a few minutes just to try and come back in again.
I've only just got electricity into Lyd. That's the problem. Does anyone sing a song?
David Godfrey getting ready to jump into the breach.
Yeah, possibly. A quick ring. We had a power cut.
How long do you want to give him?
I would just give him a few minutes, Councillor Godfrey. I'm just going to try and give him a quick ring and just find out what the problem is. It's back in. Hopefully.
Sorry about that.
Oops.
Over
Who's got-
to you, David.
Can you hear us, Tony? Can you unmute? No, it looks like he's still, Councillor Hills is still having problems. Councillor Godfrey, would you like to take over for a few minutes, if that's okay with everybody else?
Sure.
I think,
Okay.
I think
Okay.
Councillor Jeffrey was about to say something. So we've got the names changed, haven't we, Councillor Jeffrey?
That's it.
I'll
Thank
make
you very
the
much.
comment on those. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then the next with hands up I've got is Councillor Rory Love, followed by Councillor Peter Gain.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I just wanted to flag up the issue of Ashley Avenue. We were asking for a report to come back, and I wondered whether there was any update on that. As the division member, I'm not aware of any further issues. There was an anticipation there may be HGVs using Ashley Avenue, which would have been completely inappropriate. There was some dialogue and communication between officers and the operators of the site. I haven't had any further issues brought to my attention, but I just wondered whether there was to be a verbal update, just for the sake of completeness, as it were, either at this meeting or if not, then possibly the next one. But I just wanted to try and, complete the circle, as it were.
Hold on. Who was coming back on that? James, was that someone from Kent coming back on that?
Yeah, Chair. If I can just add, yeah, thank you, Rory Love. Same as you. I don't recall or haven't heard any kind of further issues with Ashley Avenue. I think the signage has helped matters from the off. What I can do, I can go back to my colleague Damien within Schemes to see if he has any further information regarding Ashley Avenue, councillor. So yeah, I can get onto that straight away and chase Damien up from tomorrow.
I think that would be very helpful. As I say, I mean, I haven't had anything. It's not as if, I'm getting lots of emails about it. I did have a few when it first came up and the planning application was granted. But I'm also conscious that the signage is temporary.
Yeah,
the signage is temporary, and when that goes, I'm hoping there won't be anything further, but it would just be useful to get that sort of officer acknowledgement back, I think, as well for the residents.
I'm going to hand back to Tony in a second, but I think that's noted. I don't think it affects the minutes, does it? It's noted. Thank you. Tony, we've just had Dylan and Rory commenting. Peter was next, so he's up next. Okay.
Thank you, David. If I go again, please step in. I hate Zoom. Anyway, crack on, Peter.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is under 6 on the highway works, on number 5, regarding the cycleway in Cheriton High Street needs to be addressed. I understand that you're opening consultation tomorrow on the scheme. However, through district council, they did ask it for going an agenda item. So I would have hoped at least you could have put it as an agenda item saying that that was going to happen, and then when the closing date was, instead of just nothing, as though it wasn't even mentioned last time. And it is causing a lot of issues over here in Cheriton where I live.
Who can answer that?
I can answer some of that. I wasn't aware that I was needed to bring a report to this. Apologies, because I wasn't at the last JTB. So we are launching tomorrow until the 25th of October. So it's 6 weeks consultation. Apologies, what was we know there's a petition, there's a lot of opposition to it, but obviously that's everyone's chance to kind of, you know, give their views, and, you know, it's not a fait accompli. It's not going to be, you know, we're not coming in and just doing it. That's what the purpose of the consultation is. We've designed it to best a standard that we can, obviously under the DFT guidance and everything, to provide segregated cycleways. We're not going to remove all the parking. We're not proposing to remove all the parking. We are proposing to remove some. It may be that everyone votes against this, says no, we don't want it, and then we'll have to relook at it. But obviously that's what the consultation is for. So we will take everyone's views on board, you know, and decisions and things will be made from there.
Can I just ask where they can actually go and from tomorrow actually put their views, what the email or link is?
I will send it out to you. I will send. We're going to send out all week. What will happen? All residents in the area will get postcards. We're going to put postcards out, and they will have the link to the website on it. I think there's over the 4 schemes, something like 30,000 postcards going out. So we hope to cover quite a lot of the residents. I live in Cheriton. I did get one last time, so I would hope that, you know, most of the residents would get them. We do get a list if they can't deliver, perhaps if they can't get into the flats or a dog or something like that. So I can, you know, it's a very short list normally, and we'll put posters up as well. So there will be posters as well, and obviously members and all the stakeholders. We've got a great big list that we email to, and that will come out either, you know, over the course of this week. We're, you know, because we're limited to how many numbers of emails we can send from our inbox, which is crazy, but over the course of the week we will send out and say, here's the, you know, here's the consultation link, here's a copy of the brochure, and the poster and everything, so they've got that information.
Thank you.
That's great, Wendy. Could you send a link just to Peter? They can put it out in his social media.
Yeah, can you put it to my personal, because I'm having problems with my iPad, and that's where my council email address is.
Yeah.
If you want to give me your, do you want me to note it down now? That's probably best,
Yeah.
and then I can add it to, okay.
Wendy, sorry,
Okay.
Councillor Gain, I'd rather you not give your personal email out over the.
Oh, it's over the internet, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah,
Wendy, if you
Kate, do you
send
have it?
Send the link to me, kate.clark@folkestone, and then I can forward it on
Good
to
idea, Kate.
members and include Councillor Gain's personal email address.
Yep, that's fine. I shall do that to you. I'll add you to the list tomorrow, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Well
you.
said, Kate. I've got to, I can see a hand up from Dylan again. Does that say one? Or?
No, so it's a new one, just to, because we discussed Ashley Avenue and then the cycle lane, declaration of interest. One of my workplaces is based on the junction of Ashley Avenue, Narrabeen Road and Cheriton Road, the St Joseph's Church and the Church Hall. So just declaration of interest in respect to those items.
Thank you, Dylan. Right, is that section finished? Because we can move on to the exciting bits now, which is the, well, we can start with Appendix A, I guess, road, footway and cycle renewal preservation schemes. We have the list there on page 11. Have you seen that list, members? Is there anything we want to raise on page 11? No. Okay.
Chairman, sorry.
Yes, go on, Anne.
Yeah. Just looking at the top section where it says 2034 Cherry Garden Avenue.
Yes.
I did note in the minutes that Councillor Jeffrey suggested that work scheduled for August of 2021 should be delayed, as this was transportation route to the seafront development. But I see that's completed now. It's just been completed, and very good it looks too, Dylan. It's strong for
That's
anything.
great. Well, he must have sneaked in at night when no one was looking. But it looks fine, doesn't it? Great. Okay. Going down, we've got some micro surfacing on 11. And then we have some surface dressing. Is there anything anyone want to raise there? It's all been completed, so I don't think it's a problem as far as I know. No, okay, all right. Going on to retreading, recycling and relaying existing road surfaces. We've got a list there. It's just been done. Again, it's all been completed. I've had no complaints myself. New Romney. Everybody happy with that? Yeah, just nod. Thank you. Go on.
Chairman,
Yes.
I'm indicated because on our website, the pages aren't numbered.
Oh, sorry about that.
So you're going far, and I'm trying to find where you are.
Well, it was Appendix A. I've just gone through road asset renewal schemes and road asset preservation schemes and surface dressing. I'm now just coming on to retreading.
Okay, I know where you are now.
Got
I
me?
got it. Yeah.
Okay, which have all been completed. So I was better go on to footway, cycleway, asset renewal and preservation schemes. Has anybody got anything to raise on that? No, it's on page 12. Those have got a page number. And then going on to page 13, which is drainage works. Is anything what to be raised there? No. Okay. And then Appendix C, that's Appendix B drainage, and Appendix C is street lighting. Susan Cellar, but I don't think there's anything that she's actually involved with at the moment. I think she's had problems with staffing. Appendix D, which is on my page 14, transportation safety schemes, casualty reduction measures. They got local transport funded schemes, and then we go down below that, and there's a few there. Has anybody got to say anything about that? I wouldn't mind saying something myself about Lyd Road and Old Romney, Hammond's Corner. If anybody's got £1.5 million lying around, I might ask a certain young tennis player. We can actually afford to get it done. The design work's complete. We paid for that, 180,000 it cost. Design work for Hammond's Corner, road improvement scheme. It'll be an amazing safety factor to have that roundabout go in, but we have to find £1.5 million to fund it. I'm sure KCC is looking at anything they can bid on, but they're going to need that money first. So that's one of my personal interests. Then we have one in Folkestone and one in Folkestone again. But I've got anything to say about that. Turning over the page 15. Then we have Blackball Road. And then we've got LTP schemes, Folkestone and Hythe. Sinkport Cycle Route, Phase 3, Hythe Promenade to degrees at Richfields. Is anything anybody got on these? No? Well, I'm sure I know a very attractive young lady who wants to talk about the one which says Sinkport Cycle Route Phase 5, Nichols Road to Dymchurch Redoubt. And she'll link on to our work around the redoubt. You want to say that, Wendy? It's a chance to get in.
I can if you want me to.
Of course I do.
So we went out to consultation on phase 5 when we consulted on the other 4 active travel schemes. So we're going, there was overwhelming support for that one. So we're not going out to a second round of consultation for it.
Over 80%, was it?
Yeah, it was very high. I don't have the numbers to hand actually, but it was very high. So it went to ETCC last week for approval to proceed, and I think it's mid-November. We're hoping to start construction for about 20 weeks. So on the active travel consultation link that I send out, it will have a page on there. So there will be updates on there, but it's not a consultation as such. It's just keeping everyone up to date with when we start. And we are doing the first 1,000 metres, I think it is, up to the redoubt, because we can do that quite easily. the phase B, we're calling it, we're hoping to do once we've started talks with the MOD. We're just waiting for approval from them for some land to do that. So hopefully we'll be able to tag that on at the end of the 20 weeks, but we can keep you updated.
Yes, please. That'd be great. I'm really looking forward to that. It was mentioned. Councillor Love is on that committee as vice chair as well, and it was raised at the committee, and they had a full committee approval, if I remember correctly, Councillor Love. And we've had a meeting, Andy Weatherhead and myself, with David Brazier about it, and I think we're all enthusiastically full bore ahead on that one, which is great. Moving on then, externally funded schemes, nothing there. Developer funded works is on page 16. There's quite a long list of those. Has anybody want to raise one of those at all? No?
Yeah, yes, please, Chairman.
Oh, sorry, Councillor, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Did you want me to come in?
Yes, please.
Sorry, I raised my hand and I wasn't sure whether you were calling me straight in. On the Cheriton High Street, Cheriton Approach scheme, it's in the maintenance period now. I have raised concerns before now about the pedestrian crossing facilities, which are basically just wait and see whether there's a gap in the traffic. And I've raised concerns that I think there ought to be pedestrian light controls on that crossing. It is a very confusing crossing for pedestrians. I wonder, my understanding was that this matter was going to be pursued in the next stage of the safety audit with the developers. And I'm wondering where that's going. I haven't had any further feedback for a few months now. And I don't want us to lose sight of this, because I know that when officers have been there, they've agreed that it is actually quite difficult for pedestrians crossing the road, because you have the traffic coming from Tesco turning right into Cheriton High Street, and you have traffic coming from the motorway heading towards Cheriton High Street.
Yeah.
And there's also a certain amount of traffic that realizes it's in the wrong lane and then changes lanes at the last moment. And I can see a potential for accidents there. Is there any update on that? Has the, I can't remember what stage number it was, stage 3 or something, safety audit yet taken place? If it still hasn't, is it due to take place anytime soon? Any updates at all would be greatly welcomed. And if we're not in a position to get them tonight, then perhaps they can be pursued outside the meeting, but then forwarded to us. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor, that's great. Thank you, Roy. Who wants to pick that one up? Have a view? Anybody? Not all rush. Hi, James.
Yeah, please. Yeah, thank you. I mentioned the site, Councillor Love. I've just recently found out, or before I give you an update, for those of you that don't know the site very well, unfortunately the site was very much moulded or designed around making sure there's limited impact on Highway England's road network, as we full well know, because it's at junction 12, I think it is there. It's a major junction. You've got the link to the M20. So obviously it's moulded around HE's network for limit the impact. But there is an underlying issue there. I myself agree with Councillor Love. I believe the stage 3, the safety audit, is going ahead, and they are looking at putting an improvement in place, Councillor. Unfortunately, I haven't got a timescale on this, but what I can do is chase up the relevant party or colleagues in to try and get an update for Councillor Love. But I assure you, it hasn't gone away, Councillor, because I feel quite strongly about the site myself. I've been on the site, and I personally feel that something needs to be done. So it hasn't gone away. It is on the radar, but I will do some chasing up for you, Councillor.
That's great, James.
Through you, Chairman, thank you
Yep.
for that, James. And can I put on record my thanks to James for the work that he has done on this. And I get the feeling that the developers haven't always been quite as forthcoming as we might have expected in terms of communication with the county council on this. And I think we do need to keep pushing it forward. And if the fact that it's been discussed tonight is any further strength to James's elbow, then that's a good thing. But as I say, I do appreciate the work that as district manager that he's doing on this. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councillor Love. Yes, can I just say, James, anything you send through, could you just copy it also to Kate?
Oh,
Missy
absolutely.
Clark, so it will go in the record. That would be great, but we want to keep tabs on these things. I've got a hand up from Councillor Gain. You're muted, Councillor Gain.
Okay. My question is, I totally agree with Councillor Love on this, but also I am really concerned about the right turn having 2 lanes very quickly going into a single lane, because the other day when I came down to go right, there was 2 cars on the inner lane and 4 cars on the outer lane. Of course, they amalgamate on the inner lane. And I think it is really open. There's going to be an accident. And will they look at that as part of the safety audit?
Over to you, James. You want to say anything on that?
Yeah, same again. These things out of my hands, Councillor. They did look at introducing one lane, but for great pressure from HE, because the site is close to the M20, they decided that to minimise the impact of traffic building up, queuing, whatever you want to call it, that two lanes was sufficient to kind of contain and direct traffic leading away from the M20, because I felt like if one lane was put in place, then the traffic could obviously mount up and queue in, and we could get queuing onto maybe the slip road and onto the M20, worst case scenario. So that was looked at. Again, Councillor, there's something I will mention for you if it's maybe something that can be looked at. But to be honest, there's great pressure there from HE, so I'm not going to promise you anything on this.
Oh, thank you, James.
Yeah, just do what you can, James. That's great.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor.
Right, going on from page 16, which was the Development Funded Works, over the page 17, we carry on with the Development Works. Is there anything there that people want to raise? No, well, if I can just say SH307 at Cockreed Lane, resurfacing the whole road, it needs a bit more resurfacing in my opinion. I think it might need a bit of rebuilding as well. But I've already raised that with James, so we're going to look into that hopefully. Oh, hi Susan, just managed to Councillor Carey. But if anybody's got anything raised on that, that's page 17 of that. If not, we'll move on. Right, going on to the next section. Bridge Works. That's Appendix F, Bridge Works, page 18 on my list. Does anybody have anything to raise there? Don't see any hands up. Obviously, from my point of view, Hook Wall, Brookland, has that been completed yet? Do we know? James, any idea of that one?
No, I believe that is still outstanding, Councillor.
Yeah.
Going past the site recently, the road closed signs are still up in place. So
yeah, it just concerns me that he's been up for a very long time, and the great hindrance to our local residents because we don't have that many roads across the marsh, but that's one of them coming from the right direction. So I don't know how long it's taking, or why, but hey.
What I do, Chair, I know it's on the Highway Works programme, but I've made a separate note on because, like you say, it's been going on for quite some time now.
It has, yeah. Okay, it's great. Thank you for that, James. That's great. Right, Councillor Gain, your hands up. Is it an historic one or you're muted? Sorry.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks. Just trying to keep my eyes open. Okay, moving on to Appendix G, traffic systems. There's nothing on the list there. If anybody's got something to say, but there's nothing on my list there. Moving on again to Appendix H, Combined Member Grant Programme Update. Page 19. We have 2 items. One under Councillor Love. Do you want to say anything, Councillor Love, at all? You're okay?
Thank you, Chairman. I mean, all I'd say is I'm absolutely delighted that after the consultation, there were no objections to the extension of this 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I think it is going to be a contributory factor to safety within the 20-mile-an-hour zone in school roads. So I'm delighted that this is proceeding. And again, my thanks to the great support I've had in getting this scheme rolling forward from our KCC highway officers.
Thank you, Councillor Love. As one from the south, of course, down the bottom there, which is about Cockreed Lane, the world famous Cockreed Lane. And I think we've got to get it resurfaced, but I'm very pleased to see that the 30-mile-an-hour limits from 40 to 30 is at least a step in the right direction. Personally, I think it should be 20, but it's at least it's going the right way. So thank you for that, James, and whoever's involved. Right, moving on. Public rights of way, which is Appendix I, and nothing there at the moment on page 20. Street works on page 20, Appendix I. Again, is there anything anybody wants to raise on that? Street works, affinity watering, and some KCC work. That's about all. Okay, we've got 2. That's lovely. I'll take Peter Game first, because I saw him first, and then I'll come on to you, Andy.
Chairman, my question is under the Folkestone Hive, it's got High Street. Which one?
Good point. I don't know. Any news on that one at all, James? Any ideas?
No answer to that one. That's got through.
We've got a High Street in Lyd, and that's been done.
I will go.
See if we get more information. Yeah,
absolutely. I quite often, tell my colleagues, please, if you get the spelling right, get the location right, give us a bit of an idea. But
I know you can't win them all, James. Next on to Andy. Councillor Weatherhead.
I would suggest that that's probably Dymchurch High Street. They've been doing the resurfacing work, and that was what I was going to touch on. I'm going to say thank you, James, because what they've done down there has been quite spectacular, considering the amount of work that they had to do. The actual disturbance and upsetting the locals, as road closures do, has been minimal. So thank you very much. It's gone well, and it's better to drive over now. I haven't lost any feelings. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Weatherhead. Frank, I can see your hand up.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, quite a few roads in this list got BT works in our parish, because that's to do with the broadband. I do take a bit of issue with BT because they seem to keep slapping closures on at the very last minute as so-called emergencies, which, when you look to see what they're doing, they're not emergencies. They're sort of general works that they decide they're going to do them today, so we'll close the road today. So we've had the road from New Barn Corner up to Farthing Commons being closed for the last today with no notice whatsoever. On the same day, which we had got notice on, a proper notification, etc., Sandling Road was closed. So we've had obviously quite a bit of confusion going on with 2 of the routes from Limins through to the M20 are closed at the same time. The other thing I was going to say was that we had Kieran, our steward, at the last parish council meeting, which was very helpful. We had a frank and open discussion about various things, and we got on very well, I think, and it was a good thing for him to liaise with us.
Yes, agreed. Okay, thank you for that. Susan, I can see your hand waving there.
Yes, thank you. I've not been able to find where to put the hand up. It's such a long time since I did a Zoom meeting. I wanted to, can I echo Councillor Hobbs's comments about the Kieran coming to the meeting? I think he's shown great initiative in doing that. I just hope he hasn't taken on raised expectations too much and taken on too much, as can be the case sometimes. I wanted to ask about the programme, because it talks about Stone Street, and Stone Street is very long. So are we actually getting the whole of Stone Street resurfaced, or is it a particular section? I think it would be interesting for the communities along that road to know. And in case I can't attract Tony's attention again, I was a bit surprised to see we didn't have a winter service update. We usually do this time of year. Yes. Oh, I can see Rory nodding. That must have been raised already.
You're muted, Councillor. Lovely for your comment, but I did think it's a month late. If you remember last week's Transport and Highways meeting, I think it was mentioned there, is running about a month behind, which means we'll be notified at the next meeting, but much we can do about it.
Okay, yes, it does come back to me now. Okay. Thank you.
Right,
on Stone Street, please. Stone Street.
Stone Street, yes. James, can you find out about that?
I can enlighten you a bit on that, because I've seen the signs.
Ah, well done, Frank.
It's from the bottom of Hempton Hill to the nursery above Farthing Common.
Correct.
Okay. Well, James has got the point that we want more information on this paperwork for tell us that they don't have to play 20 questions to find out. Yeah, so that's great. Thank you for that. I've got Dylan's hand jiggling there.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to echo what Frank has said, because today Sandgate Road has just been closed for 7 days as emergency works by the gas board. That follows on from emergency works that happened last month. As a result of which, even just this evening, I've had 7 emails from residents who've lost their bus because the buses have been diverted at the very last minute without any notification to residents. So Stagecoach have had to act on what the emergency works are doing on a pretty main thoroughfare road connecting Sandgate and the coast into Folkestone. And this, I think, is an ongoing problem that perhaps it might be useful for JTB in the future to have almost a scrutiny role in observing, or at least having a list of all the emergency works that are happening, so we can actually see and monitor what is really going on. And I think this is really important, because not only can we see how often certain companies are closing roads, but more importantly, perhaps there could be some joined up thinking, and we keep trying to encourage this, where the companies work together to dig the road up at the same time to do the works, and not simply dig it up, patch it, and then the next company comes along a week or a month later to do their emergency works. Now, I know works are sometimes unforeseen, but this is a really serious problem. And the fact that people now can't access their public transport services because they didn't know what was going on. And the example is the bus stop has been moved, completely cancelled round about Trinity Gardens, Trinity Crescent, and there's not an alternative. The buses are rediverted round Grimston, and there's no alternative bus stops. So this really is a problem, particularly when it's for 7 days. So I just think it would be useful for us to have that sort of review mechanism in the future.
Thank you for that, Councillor Jeffrey, and I totally agree with you. We've got to keep more of a tab on this. I don't know, I was under the illusion that the utilities get penalised financially if they don't work together and trying to get these things done on causing fewer problems. But that's something we'll have to look into. But James, can you come back on that one and have a look into it for us and come back to us?
Chair.
Yes, go on.
I'm getting
You're breaking up, James.
Can you hear me, Chair?
I can now.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey, for bringing that up. I would like to our coordination team monitor and police road closures upon our network, and I would like to think that they would push to have collaborative working as well. And I think in this case, Councillor Jeffrey, I think the recent closure on Sandgate Road was down to KCC to do reinstatement carriageway repairs, because I think there's a lot of undulation within the Sandgate Road itself, and I would think due to the closure that's now in place for 7 days for the gas board, maybe the gas board works could not at the same time maybe incorporate our works as well, if that makes sense, because it could be a major gas leak or whatever, or it could be quite extensive repairs. So, but I would like to think our street works coordination team would push for collaborative working. And so Jeffrey, Sandgate Road is a major link road, jugular road, isn't it, in and out of Folkestone. So we want to obviously limit any disruptions to the public.
Yeah, I thanks for that, James. Obviously, emergency works are emergency works. We can't do much about that. But if it's planned works, people have to work together, and we could do a more notification if possible. And obviously, it is very inconvenient if a bus service is stopped between point A and B.
Yeah.
And you know, what can people do? You know, it is very, very difficult. Now going on, I see Terry Mullard, Councillor Mullard, you got your hand up?
Yeah, thanks. Firstly, I apologise for being about 10 minutes late. I was trying to find the joining instructions. I found them eventually.
Don't worry, we've all had problems today, don't worry.
And the two minor points, on Dymchurch High Street, the resurfacing, I'd like to say that's going very, very, very well. I wouldn't mind betting it's actually finished. The road marking looks very good as well. And kind of using joined up things, the roundabout at Martello Park is, I guess, finished. Certainly nearly finished, because the one-way traffic was operating today and a few guys mooching around. I'm quite sure that roundabout will be open. Well, who am I to know? But by the end of the week, it'd be quite interesting to see how that works. So they're two good points. And I'll just make one final point. I'm not quite sure whether I've made it here before or not. Having said all of the road tarmacking, roundabout, all looks good stuff. It's a pity that there are so many weeds in the gutters around the Martello Lakes areas, by the side of the ranges. Just a hell of a lot. And it did impress me today to see a road sweeper in Hythe actually with a scraper going along and scraping the weeds from the side of the buildings rather than the gutter as well. But I think the gutter, I think even he'd realise that you can't sweep these things up, you've got a rake on. It's just a point, they're beginning to look a bit unattractive. That was all, Chairman.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Mullard. I can see Councillor Gaines got his hand up again.
Thank you, Chairman. Cheriton High Street, which bit of Cheriton High Street? Again, is it the whole road? Because that's quite a long road going from the White House surgery up to Tesco.
Mm.
And you've got in there programme from the 27th of September through to the 1st of October. Further back, you're doing some gully work in Cheriton High Street as well.
Anything you can say on that one? We discussed it, James, but you're going to have to give more detail on these.
Oh, sorry, Chair. I'm just trying to look at what page are we on? Sorry.
Which one is Cheriton? That's on page 22, halfway down.
Here we go. What am I not seeing?
T-Mobile's doing some stuff down there.
Station works installed. Okay. Not enough detail there.
Not enough
Yeah.
detail, James. That's the general message, I think. Not enough detail.
I agree with that.
But that's very kind of you to take that on board for us. Councillor Love.
I'm intrigued, Chairman, by this description that Openreach seem to be doing quite a lot of, proving the route. What is proving the route, if I might ask? Or is there something missing from the beginning of it? Or is it a technical term that I haven't come across before?
It could be clearing tree roots to make hope that they're going underground, but I don't know. Any ideas, James? Anybody else? It's a starter for 10.
Yeah, whether it's a case of treating interference to be a case.
Hey, James, you're breaking up a bit. Bit of feedback.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
You hear me? Yeah. All I can find out information on this. That maybe tree roots are interfering with the apparatus.
Okay, that I think would be logical, but again, it's all about description so we can understand what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I could request those who are not speaking, turn your microphones off because we are getting a bit of feedback. That would be helpful. Thank you for that. Any more points on the works going on? It's quite a long list.
Chairman, yes. I understand that proving the route is something to do with they're upgrading our broadband in a few months' time or 6 months' time or however long it takes. It's something to do with that. They've got to check the gullies and the manholes, check that they can actually get the cables through and all that sort of thing.
Okay, that's very helpful, Frank.
All pre-work on broadband.
Yep, that makes sense. It's so expensive to do. Right, we're coming to the end.
That's very helpful, Chairman. May I thank Frank for that insight. Thank you.
We love sharing knowledge. Yeah, that's great. We're coming to the end of the actual agenda. But I'm quite happy to, if anybody's got points they want to raise, if any councillor wants to raise a particular point, I can see one hand lurking up from Councillor Mr. Weatherhead.
Thank you, Chairman. Scannons Bridge. I'm going to pick up on this again because it seems that there was some kind of plan at some point in time. I don't have a date on the actual drawing to undertake some works on Scannons Bridge to put pedestrian crossings on the traffic lights. Since then, I've had lots of requests for yellow box junctions and all sorts of things. And I've also been in contact with some of the KCC officers regarding the bus stops. My point is that if for reasons I don't quite get, which is probably my fault, it seems to be a subject that escapes the agenda. And I think it is a subject that needs to be on the agenda because it needs focus. Now, I understand that things don't just happen, and I know we don't have a magic money tree, unlike Westminster. And I know that this scheme apparently required some £250,000, and that was going to come potentially out of the community infrastructure levy. But it seems to be an activity that was going to be between KCC and Folkestone and Hythe. Well, with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, it's never going to happen unless we got visibility. So can I ask that this is put on the agenda and we keep an eye on it? And if we do need to push to get funding, let us push. Thank you.
I totally support your view there. It's an ongoing problem. It's been for years since I've been involved with this and your predecessor was involved. It's an ongoing problem. I think Kate's noted that, our clerk, and basically we'll keep that on the must-do list. Have a look at. That's great. Councillor Peter again.
Chairman, this might not come as a surprise. Will we have the cycle route on the next agenda of the Joint Transportation Board?
Which cycle route are we referring to?
The one that's going out to consultation now.
Well, I've got one down at, we've just gone through that process. down at Dymchurch. But Wendy, do you want to ask? I've got an idea of what you want about.
Once, what we're planning to do is go back to Environment and Transport Cabinet Committee in January to ask for their permission to proceed. So I don't know when the next JTB Folkestone and Hythe is off the top of my head, but I can always, put an update in. But that the plan is, I think it's the 19th of January ETCC. So we'll go there with our results from the consultation.
Thank you, Wendy. Because Councillor Gaines at the Folkestone and Hythe Council, it would be useful if you send your paperwork also over to Kate Clark, and she can connect it to Peter so he can see what's going up. And if he wants to, he can lobby his local members that are on that committee, like Councillor Love, myself, if he wishes to. Okay.
I believe we're due to meet. Aren't we due to meet November, December?
We've got a meeting on the 22nd of November, and then the next one is the 21st of February.
So I would have thought the November meeting might be quite useful before it goes to the Cabinet.
I will not probably have, I think we've had to wait till January because obviously the consultation we end at the end of October. By November, I won't have anything substantial. Perhaps we may not have, got all the responses together and analysed it in full to tell you what we're planning to do. I can pop along like I am now, give you where we are with it, but I won't have, perhaps a report because obviously I've got to do a FED for ETCC for January, and by then I think we'll have more information. So I'm happy to come along. But I may not bring a full report because I may not be in a position to update you fully with whether we're, hoping to proceed or not. But I can give you as much detail, verbally at the next meeting if you want to invite me along.
That'd be very useful.
Yeah, but it's good. Thank you for raising that, Peter, because Wendy will, I'm sure, keep you in the loop on this. It's as a local issue. And but thank you for doing that, Peter. It's good. Right, anything else want to raise? We're still here. I've got one thing. I drafted a letter which should have gone out to all of you because I want to send it out in our name to the police, asking them to focus on some bit of road safety in my area, speeding traffic and the like down the coast. It's not a new issue, it's an old issue. The police are aware of it, but I'd like to put it on record that we are being a bit more proactive. Have you had a chance to read it, members? Roy? No?
I've not read it, Chairman. It's
No?
a good letter.
Oh, good, thank you. Any negativity? I think I better send a copy to Rory just in case he hadn't read it yet. But we'll get Kate to send you an email, a copy over. But basically, it's simply a case of raising about the coast road. I want the police to put some more roundels in and some road markings when entering a 30-mile-an-hour zone. It's an ongoing problem down there. We've had a large number of accidents, but no fatalities, thank God. So it's really a case of just trying to get the police to focus on road safety in that area. But I'm more than happy to send Rory a letter, a copy of it. I thought everybody had it, but possibly not. Dylan, you wanted to say something?
Yes, just to say that fully support the letter and the issue. I think there does seem to be, whether it's post-lockdown craziness or what I'm not sure, but almost proliferation of increase in speeding across the area. I've had a couple of comments from residents along Shorncliffe Road. They've noticed that there's been an increase in speeding traffic. I know just from Susan's tweet today that they were picking up a high number of people that were speeding in a low speed area, and so therefore perhaps it's indicative of something that's happening across the district. And I don't know if that can feed into a Kent-wide or police-wide campaign to actually make drivers aware, a bit like we do with the Christmas drinking, that actually speeding kills.
Very good point, Dylan. Very good point. And I think at our last CALC meeting, was it Frank? We were raising with the police certain issues, and I think we'll raise that one again when I'm down there with, at the CALC meetings when the next time the police turn up, hopefully soon. And I think that'll be worthwhile. People have forgotten how to drive, it appears to me. It's very, very bizarre, isn't it? It is very bad. Is there, oh, Frank, do you want to come in on that? You're muted, Frank.
Should know what I'm doing by now, shouldn't I? Yeah, the police normally attend the area committee meetings.
Yeah.
But we don't know what's happening now because we've got a new inspector, haven't we? So
I think a sergeant's taken over short term, Frank. Yes, I've been told.
yeah.
But whoever comes along, we'll buttonhole them on that because it's a very valid point.
Andy Borman came to most of the meetings. So.
Yes, he has. Yeah. I can see Councillor Gaines.
Andy Brittenden.
And Brittenden, yeah. Peter?
One thing that has occurred to me is maybe when you do talk to the police, that maybe they could pull up youngsters who have a habit at the moment of driving around on their bikes in dark clothes and no lights, because I've seen that several times. And they actually go straight across the roads without even looking.
Yeah, I know. It's very, you need more road safety training.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Councillor Love.
Just to observe, Chairman, that speed of itself doesn't kill. It's inappropriate speed in inappropriate roads that may contribute to accidents and indeed deaths. But whenever I hear this phrase, speed kills, then I feel bound to come in and say, no, it doesn't, because actually the safest roads in the country are the ones that are the fastest, and they're the motorways. Thank you, Chairman.
I think it's a percentage basis, Councillor, but Councillor Carey.
Yes, Councillor Love's provoked me to respond. Speed on its own may not kill, but when you go fast through a community, it's the fear that you inculcate in everyone else as you go through very selfishly, because your time is more important than how other people feel in their community about being able to cross the road. And the older you get, the harder that becomes. And I'm thinking in particular of Sellindge, where it's actually quite difficult for some of the older population to cross the road. And so they live in fear in their own community. So speed may not kill, but it certainly intimidates. And it's ultimately down to Kent Police to enforce behaviour. And I'm always shocked that people aren't more ashamed about their speeding, and the way they joke about getting caught and the way they joke about going on the speed awareness courses, because we all know as local councillors just how oppressive it is to communities when people speed. So we really do need, and how hard it is for us as councils to do an engineering solution to a speeding problem. It is a behavioural problem, and whether it kills or not, it shouldn't be happening. It's the law, and people should respect it and respect our communities.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Councillor Carey. And having been guilty and been on a speed awareness course, I can say they are very good, and they pull you up short and make you aware of this. And the statistics, I believe, I can't remember offhand precisely, but if you hit a child under 30 miles an hour, survival rate's about 40% higher than if you hit it over 30 miles an hour. Sorry, Councillor Mead, it's your hand there.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to reiterate that some drivers have forgotten how to drive. I'm getting a lot of reports of people jumping traffic lights at the last moment as well, which we know is just so incredibly dangerous. But I'd also like, as we're just talking about this subject at the moment, to bring up the issue of these electric scooters that are whizzing around at the moment.
Yes, well,
because people can't hear them coming, and they can really, really speed and do an awful lot of damage. In fact, up towards Ramsgate, I think it was, a young 5-year-old was actually killed by one very recently. So it's a very serious incident, and you're absolutely right. If you hit a child at 30, the likelihood is it will die. If you hit a child at 20, the likelihood is it will survive, which is why we need to keep pushing for the 20-mile-an-hour zones around our schools.
And that's a good point, Councillor Mead. And again, when it comes to the council meeting, our police officers there, scooters we can definitely put on the agenda. What are they going to do about it? The government's making Well, I'm not quite sure what the government's doing about this. In some areas illegal, some areas tested, or what, I don't know. But in our local district, it is a problem. We see it all the time. And I do worry about elderly people whose hearing is not great. They can't hear them coming. And on a bit of pavement, because there's no two pavements, only one bit of pavement, everybody's sharing it for safety because the roads are too narrow. It's a slight problem, isn't it? You know, it's massive. Okay, well, that's very, very great. I must thank everybody for coming, and I particularly thank Councillor Godfrey for stepping in my Zoom as its own thing. But so thank you for that, David. Is everybody happy now, content that we can go home? Figuratively speaking.
Yep.
All right, then. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye, folks.
Thanks all for
Thank you.
coming.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye then. Bye.
Bye.